Rocking and rolling. Okay, so today we are going to talk about carousels and how to use carousels in an effective way. Obviously, in like 30 minutes, I can't teach you absolutely everything that there is to know about carousels, but I will do my best to get as much in as we can in the next like 25 to 30 minutes. Um, how many people here have used carousels or even know what I'm talking about when I say carousels? Okay. If you haven't, then it's something I'm always a little bit careful about when I use absolutes, right? But they are something that you should be using. Really, when we're talking about most content nowadays, especially on a platform like Instagram, we only want to be using reels and carousels. Like those are your two types of content. We've got video content and we have carousel content. You really don't want to be posting any other kind of content anymore. It's really just not going to be super effective. And so I'm going to show you in my least favorite place how to essentially make a carousel. But I'm doing this for you out of the beauty and kindness of my heart because I think that it is the easiest place and the place where most of you are going to feel the most comfortable. Now, if you know me well, Deirdre knows that it is in Canva because I am a huge Canva hater, but we're going to do it in Canva just for you because I think it's the place. Deirdre, you are in my head. You are my soul sister. You understand. Okay, so I'm going to do this in Canva so that it's easy for you to kind of see and understand what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, it's probably the easiest place for you to be doing this. Um, I also like Canva. I find Canva stressful too, but for this purpose, it actually does work. What I don't want, so I'm going to preface this, okay? What I don't want you doing is taking testimonials and, you know, reviews and things like that and making them beautiful. That's really why I hate Canva so much, is because of the way that most agents use Canva. They like get a testimonial or they get something that should be a screenshot and they put it in Canva and they make it purple and they put swirlies on it. You can do this with a free version of Canva. You do not need to pay for Canva. Okay. You do not need any of these templates. Stay away from all of these templates. I have tested them pretty extensively. And I actually used one the other day just to see. It was one of the worst engagement pieces that I've ever had to the point where I deleted it. And the actual content that was in it was great. But the design of it, it's too formal and it looks too much like an ad. So it actually didn't perform at all. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with just Instagram post. Okay. So if you just go to create a design, oops, first thing that we're going to do is Instagram post. So it's going to open this up. You're just going to get a big plain thing that just says that has nothing on it. This is what we want. Roger's asking if I don't use Canva, what do I use? I use all kinds of things, but you are going to use Canva or any kind of design. You can even use PowerPoint for this if you want as well. Just make sure that the formatting is correct because most people struggle with the size and the formatting. Again, Canva is going to be easiest for you because you can literally just hit Instagram post. So you're not hitting Instagram story, you're hitting Instagram post. And you can see here, you start with one blank page, but you can continue to add more pages. So this is where the quote unquote carousel part comes in. So the other day, you have to have some sort of an idea of what you're doing here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example of a carousel or an example of what you can do as a carousel. So I'm going to go to mine and then I'll show you a couple of other examples. If you have questions as we go through this, please just ask. Okay, so here's my Instagram. Here is the most recent, or one of the most recent carousels that I did. So there has to be some sort of a payoff, or you have to like kind of further the information or the story as you go through the carousel. So your first page is just basically a headline. So it's going to just announce what it is that you're doing. And see, as I go through these slides, here's some things that have happened over that 7 years. So this is just a combination of photos. The more photos that you have in here, usually the more engaging it is. So, make sure that and I had to scroll back pretty far. Like this post took a little while. And it wasn't that it was a complicated post to put together. It was just that I had to scroll back pretty far on my phone to find the images that I wanted to use. So some photos of the book, some photos of moving to the Bahamas, some photos of me on stages, some photos of people that I've met through the business. And that's it. But so that's one example. Here's another example. So this is, relatively strong headline. 2025 most obvious real estate marketing icks to stop today. For this one, I did this on purpose because I knew we were going to do this training and I wanted to be able to show you the difference. I used the same photo all the way through this one. And the only thing I changed was the text on the screen. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this. The key is experiment. Do both. Use different things. So 2025's most obvious real estate marketing icks to stop today. Logos or branding on social media posts. This is all stuff that you've heard me say before, right? But you can see here, I still have a long form caption. Just because you're doing a reel or just because you're doing a carousel does not mean that you don't actually put value in the caption. That's still going to be really are really important. But there's a place for both of these. So let's go back to Canva. And I'm going to show you very, very simply how to put something like this together. So what I'm going to do in the chat, just for a second, I'm going to put in the chat just an example of a formula that you could use. Like I'm about to start a series that is like Jess's, spicy takes. No hashtags. I don't use hashtags at all anymore. Please don't use hashtags on Facebook. That's if you're using hashtags on Facebook, that is a big, big no-no. Guys, it makes you look old. So no hashtags on Facebook. You can use hashtags on Instagram. They're not as effective as they used to be. Just make sure they're very local. Nobody wants to look old, Sue, right? Okay. Murray, you're not as old as you pretend to be. Okay, so here's the formula. This is just one example. So I'm just putting it in here as in the chat. So I've got title slide, which is your static slide. For me, if I'm going to do like Jess's spicy takes, it's going to be like, what's the spicy take? Insight into why I'm saying it, and then what's the alternative? So you could use this same formula for yourself. You can tell a story in a carousel. This could be like, so here, I'll show you another example actually, because I think examples are helpful for people. This is an example that I think that I've shown a couple of people this week. It's very, very similar to the one that I just did or that I just showed you, but this is not real estate related. But what I did as a founder this week right? And this is like a full transparency version, right? So the full transparency will bring you in a little bit more. So this isn't just like a highlight reel. This is that you can see here, and he does quite well with these. So the first one he said is, I slept awful this week. And so he's got his Aura ring. If you don't have an Aura ring, obviously don't do this, but like this is like screenshots that were easy for him to use. And he's got some bad sleep scores. So he starts off with a little bit of transparency. Got to speak at YouTube's office with a handful of other creators. He's got some text here. You can play with how much text you use on this. Now, but you can see like this isn't beautifully put together. The fact that it's a little bit messy is actually a good thing. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. That's why I'm trying to hold it in. Um, Woke up early and got to work as soon as I could. So he's got two things here. Like this, for most people, like this is not, if this was you, you wouldn't think that like the fact that you got up earlier than usual to be content. This is the thing, right? So many people say on a regular basis, my life is so boring. I don't know what to put in as personal content. Sure, this guy has traveled and done some stuff and like had, flew to New York for his wife's pop up and like all of this stuff. But one of these slides is literally that he just got up and got to work earlier than usual. So I just want you to know and understand that like not everything has to be like this big crazy thing. You just want to give people a little bit of an insight into what it is that you're doing. Um, so for you, let's just go back to Canva. Oops. And I'll show you how easy this can be. So let's go to my photos or my uploads. I've even considered, so here's a really awful picture of me after pickleball where I have like a giant red face. I was actually thinking because of this photo, I might at some point do in a world full of people who are trying to be aesthetic. Here's my week in unaesthetic photos and use like all the ugly photos and random photos that I've taken that week because it's a different take on I'm sharing what I did that week, but in a way that like right now I could take a picture. I'm folding laundry on my couch. That's not aesthetic. There's laundry all over my couch. But I like to fold laundry on my couch. I don't like being in my laundry room. So, like there's things like that that can be actually very relatable to people that you can use that just make things easier. So let's say that I'm doing Jess's spicy takes, right? And I'm going to use, let's say, this photo of Carolee and I. I'm going to make the photo take up the whole space, or the other option is that I take the photo and I make it small and I layer a whole bunch of, let's say I'm just going to layer a whole bunch of photos in here. And this does not have to be beautiful. Okay, so let's say I'm going to use this photo too, and I'm going to put this photo over here, and I'm going to move this photo to the front. Like you can do all kinds of stuff with this. I'm just kind of showing you, what's possible. So let's say that this is going to be what, this front version is going to look like. It's not beautiful, but you know what? It's to probably stop the scroll. Then all you do is you hit text. I like to use subheading text because I like the size of it. You can do whatever you want, play with it. You can put your own brand text in it, right? Like you can do whatever you want. But let's say that I want to do Jess's weekly. So let's say Jess's weekly spicy takes. I know you can't really read this well, you'll be able to in a second. Here, I can actually make it so that you can read it. Jess's weekly spicy takes, let's say oops. See, I don't use Canva that much, guys. So from an 8-figure real estate mentor. You know, we can do this however we want. I'm gonna make this look a little bit better. I'm gonna make it square because I don't like the round. I'm gonna change the color. I'm gonna play with the transparency and I'm gonna move it down. So that's just one example, right? So that would be a cover photo. Do you see how easy and how quick that was? For some people, this is going to be actually easier and faster than creating face to camera content. But you still have to create face to camera content. Okay. So if let's say we're going to do because I know that the question is going to come, like how many, how often? I would say 70% video content, 30% carousels, just to start. Because your reels and the video content will be more discoverable for most people than carousels. Your carousels will get pushed out a lot more heavily. And this isn't a rule right across the board, but I would say for most people, will get shared more heavily to your current audience rather than new people. Whereas your reels or your videos can sometimes be a better tool to be discoverable. Okay, so first page is, Jess's weekly spicy takes from an 8-figure entrepreneur or for an 8-figure real estate mentor. So let's do my first spicy take. We'll use, let's say, a picture of Eve. I'm just putting this together quickly so I can show you and so that you actually understand. So let's say my spicy take, some of you are going to laugh at this. Say my spicy take is this. Going to tour homes that your office has listed in the past week is avoidance of doing actual work. How many people still have caravan day at their office? Making fun of caravan day, guys. So I'm just doing exactly the same thing. And then I'm playing with the positioning of, like, I could put this higher if I want people to be able to see my dogs, because my dogs are the cute part of the video or of the photo. So let's say that this is and you can play with the size, you can do whatever you want with it. But what you want is actually for it to look a little bit homemade. You want it to look a little bit less perfect and less aesthetic. The more aesthetic stuff, you can put a video in a carousel. Yes, let me show you an example of that actually. So here, let me show you this one. So this is an example of what a case study could look like. This is obviously not real estate, but so here's a client success story. I think this person is some sort of a coach, but you can see here, front page is static. And this is just videos. Now, do you have to put the video inside the phone? Absolutely not. This could just be a full screen video. But what she's done, and this is done in Canva. This like phone thing is in Canva somewhere. So yes, you can do it this way. You can put videos in. But for all intents and purposes here, I would suggest start with just doing something like this, because the most important thing is the message. Don't try to get too fancy with this and make it, put phones in it and put moving things and animations and all of those things, because sometimes that can actually take away from the message and can actually make it look a little cheesy. So let's say we've got that, let me open the chat. So insight into why I'm saying this. So let's say like for this one, I would do a slightly longer, like explanation for why, like insight into why I'm saying this. Obviously, like I'm not going to type it right now because it would be like relatively long, right? Does the video need to be made in a different document in Canva? You'd say it would be empty. Yeah, so here, I think I might have a video in here somewhere. I may not, but Here I can pull a video in just to show you. So here, let's say that I'm going to use this one. I've just pulled that in. So yeah, these are all videos. They're saved as MP4s, I believe. So like this is a video. I can pull this in here. And this is just a little video of Charlie swimming. So yes, you can pull videos into this. Does the video need to be made in a different? This is basically just like, this is a video that was, this is gonna take up a lot of space. I'm just gonna move to trash. Okay, maybe not. A lot of these are just taken on my phone and then dropped into Canva, just like either directly from my phone, or what I tend to do is I tend to just like airdrop them to my computer and then drag them in. So this is actually a very easy way of doing this. Justin, let me know if that answered your question or not. I think it did, but I'm not 100% sure that I fully understood the question. All right, so let's say my beautiful best friend here. This is us on the beach last weekend, and let's say that I'm going to put the spicy take on top of it. So I'm typing my long spicy take here. I think you guys are getting the point here, right? So I think as a rule of thumb, we mostly are like, I would say for a good carousel, 4 to 7 slides. And you want to be like furthering the information or furthering the story as we go through it. Anybody want a cat? Is anybody looking to adopt a couple of these? Because I have a whole bunch of them here. So I would say 4 to 7 slides, telling a story, like moving someone through the information, take the viewer on a journey. Exactly. Right? That's why I put up here like title slide stating what the take is, insight into why I'm saying it, and what's the alternative. You can see the insight into why I'm saying it and the what's the alternative. That's the value. That's where the value really lies, right? So let's say that we're going to use a carousel for a case study. Basically, what you would do is title, where were they? Where did they want to be? What was the process? Or title, before, process, after. Right? So what you're doing, that's your 4 slides. You could make it into 5 if there was like a little drama that happened somewhere, or a takeaway or something like that. But the whole point is the value comes from you giving information. People do know they need to move through the slides. It's pretty obvious. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions? You guys are very quiet today. No questions? Do you post carousels as stories or regular posts? Regular posts. So these are regular posts. If you want to do something fancy with your stories, you can just go into Canva. You can go into Canva and you can create, like, let's say I wanted to do like a new, just bear with me. I don't use this very much. Okay, new design, Instagram story. You can create an Instagram story in here. Do not use these though. Don't upgrade and pay for these. They're not worth it. And honestly, they look fake. They look like the reality is that they very much look like you bought a template. Okay. How often do you post these? 30%? How about Facebook? It doesn't not work over there, but it doesn't work as well because of how Facebook posts them, right? Like Facebook posts them more like an album. They don't not work, but I do think that Facebook is going to update the way that they post carousels pretty soon. I think that we'll have an update pretty soon and like they will actually work properly. So, I mean, I'm assuming that they're not going to leave them looking the way that they do, but who knows? Um, it's not that they don't work, they just don't, they're not as engaging as they are on something like Instagram. And if you're on TikTok, if you do create for TikTok, these work super well on TikTok as well. Um, would these work as a comic strip type post with no photos instead or drawings? No. I think in general, anything that doesn't have you in it is not going to get the same engagement. People want original, a quote unquote original video and photos. I think that those like, do you remember? Sorry, my dogs are barking. Do you remember back in the day when everybody was getting those like comics of themselves made? And like that was what they were using for like so much of their marketing. People really have moved away from that because it actually degrades and devalues trust. So I would say no. So many carousels literally say swipe left on the first page. You can do it if you want, like if you really think that your audience is that inept. Um, but I don't necessarily think it's necessary. I think for the majority of people who are consuming on these platforms know how to consume on the platform. Insta carousels don't transfer well to Facebook or LinkedIn. You can still just transfer them. Honestly, like I think for now, Facebook, people who consume a lot on Facebook are used to seeing them the way that they are. That would kind of be my answer. Do you think it's good to create more like hot take on Mondays or here's the thing Tuesdays? Here's the thing on Thursday for you. Um, put some sort of a caveat on there. Did you see how like I said like Jess's weekly spicy takes from an eight-figure real estate mentor? That eight-figure real estate mentor piece is the piece that actually builds credibility and will get someone to actually swipe through. Right? Like if I was just talking to you guys and it was like my audience that I knew was just going to my audience, would I put that on there? No. You know who I am. Right? But because it's going to like it's being shared publicly, there's a certain amount of credibility that needs to be in there. Right? So like it could be, Justin's Monday hot takes. And then underneath in brackets, it says, I don't know, like from a veteran real estate agent or from an agent with 10 years of experience or something like that. Something with a little bit of just a little bit of credibility in it. Yep, this works on LinkedIn. If you share Instagram to Facebook, does it transfer the correct sizes? As long as the sharing button is done in the app itself, yes. My broker tried to do that and threatened. Okay, cool. I've heard adding music makes it possible. Yeah, I mean, don't worry about the music so much. Can you add music to it? 100%. Do I sometimes add music to it? Yes. Do you absolutely have to? No. You can just throw a trending audio on it and call it a day. Yeah, my next hot take that I have in here is like, what does it say? It's something bad. It's something about dinosaur agents. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Was this helpful? If you don't tell me that this stuff is helpful, I won't do it anymore. Okay, cool. If you have questions about any of this, let me know. I am actually, if you're coming to Calgary, I'm actually building you formulas for carousels for Calgary. So I think I currently have 3 tickets left for Calgary in September. I hope that those 3 tickets get sold today. I would like them to be over. I would like to be able to think about the next thing. And I announced this last week. I am in November doing a fully virtual 3-day event. I've never done that before. yes, you can get Calgary info 100%. Sharon, can you connect with Lori and can you get her Calgary info? It's also on the Listings Lab website. So if you go to www.thelistingslab.com/event, it's the current event that is currently on there. Now, if you are like, I can't travel, I have 800 children and or whatever your reason is, there is it's going to be like it's a different format than most of the events. Yes, it's going to be heavily marketing and business growth system focused. And there's also going to be a large reverse engineering section for 2026. So it's going to be, how do you take what you want to do in 2026 and reverse engineer it? If you want information on that, some people asked me for it last week and then didn't do anything with it. So if you want info on it or you just want to buy a ticket for it, I am going to limit the number of tickets because I can't do 1 million tickets for that, because actually it's harder for us to deliver virtual events than it is in-person events. So we're going to be like all team on deck. The dates for that are most likely, don't quote me on this, I'm 99% sure. I say don't quote me and then I tell you it's 99% sure. It's going to be the first week of November. So the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of November. Because I want to give everybody enough time to really like dig into this stuff before their brains go dead for the holidays. So, and before everybody gets super busy with holiday stuff, so that you're starting the year with exactly what you need. It is going to be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for those 3 days. Now, because it's fully virtual, I am not recording it and I will not be giving out replays. So you have to be there in person for those 3 days, because what I'm finding is that people who rely too heavily on the replays don't get as much out of it. So it'll be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. What time zone? Eastern time. So I'm actually going to a studio in Florida to do this. I'm not just going to be sitting here. I'm actually going to a full like virtual event studio in Florida to do it. And so it's going to be Eastern time because it's in Florida. So it's Eastern time there. Basically what I'm doing is I'm testing this. And if you guys like this and it goes well, I will build a studio here. But I don't want to spend the money and build a studio here. That's why I'm renting a studio in Florida. I'm trying to be responsible, guys. Would I love to just build a studio here because it's fun? Absolutely. But I promised my husband that I would test this. So make this work for me so that I can build my own studio here and have some fun with it. Okay, so if you guys need any information on it, please just send me an email. You can send it to jess@thelistingslab.com. I'm just going to type it out here. You think 7 years I'd be able to spell thelistingslab.com in one go. So jess@thelistingslab.com, just send me an email and I will send you whatever information I can. I literally just started talking about this and planning it. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys have the best rest of your day. Please email me or message me if you need anything. And don't use Canva for things that are not allowed, but you can use Canva for this. Okay? Amazing. Bye, guys.